Hi everyone, welcome to the health tip this week. Today we're going to get up close and personal with the most important part of your spine. Everything is really important, but according to what we are finding in the research, this is the most important thing that needs to be maintained and working properly. So I'm going to have a little focus on this in the next couple of health tips so we can see if we can keep this as healthy as possible. What am I talking about? This is a spine. The person's looking that way. This is the back of the skull. The brain is up here. This is the most important part of your spine. We call this the normal cervical curve. There should be a normal forward curve in the neck. The purpose of that is multiple, but it's important because the spine actually has three curves in it. There's one up here, one goes back, another one that goes forward, and then there's another one down at the bottom. When all those curves are one on top of the other, when gravity pushes down on this, the spine itself is stable in this position. So all of those curves maintain stability. You almost don't even need any muscles. It's just if you had ligaments, it could actually maintain that posture. So the biggest thing that destabilizes the spine and causes a whole sequelae of a bunch of different problems in different parts of the body is when we lose the curve in our neck. This is an epidemic, pandemic now. Basically, everyone has got this problem for a lot of different reasons, which I'll get into. But I'll talk about a bit about why this is so important. Because when we've lost this curve in the neck, when the head is here, it weighs, maybe 10 to 15 pounds, depending on how much brain you got going on up there. When it's up here, this is actually very stable. But the second we lose that curve, it's actually starting to stress this area of our spine. And everybody will eventually get arthritis in their lower cervical vertebrae because there's that head coming forward like that is putting excessive stress on that area, and your body will start putting excess bone growth in that area to try to stabilize it to respond to the stress. Just like if I grab a hammer and I start hammering for hours on end, that stress on my skin, my body will eventually put calluses on my skin to respond to that excessive stress. That's what these bone spurs and bone growths, what they eventually just call it degenerative disc disease or arthritis in the neck is what they would call it, is because your body's putting down calcium to try to stabilize a joint that's under a lot of stress. So this loss of curve can cause that. So that's one big problem that the loss of your curve in your neck can create. So what I'm going to do in the next little while, in the next video, I'm going to try to show you there's an exercise that we want to be doing that'll help restore the curve in your neck. Because a lot of people just try to do like a straight chin retraction thing and think that's going to work. But we have to look back to when we're actually little babies. When babies are sort of in their normal development, we actually put them on their belly. And a lot of books say that the babies get the curve in the neck just because they're lifting up their head. But it's actually, when you put babies down, they actually have their head to one side and then they have their head to the other side. And it's this fact of turning their head side to side like that regularly stimulates a part of that's in the ears here. It's called the vestibular system, which helps us orient our body in space. So that side-to-side turning and trying to get the head to look up and around as they're sort of coming up on their forearms or up onto their hands. So they're sort of lifting their upper body, but they're trying to keep their head up, so they are activating their muscles, but they're kind of turning their head side to side. It's actually that side-to-side motion in that specific way is actually putting the joints of their neck through a specific range like this. So they're actually turning these joints here in a specific sort of like a 45-degree angle, looking left and looking right, stimulating this vestibular system, which starts to activate these deep muscles here, which start to develop the curve in the neck. So it's not just the fact that they're looking up, it's the fact that they're turning while they're looking up too. That turning helps to develop this curve. So next week I'm going to show you a very specific exercise that you're going to do for your neck that'll help restore this curve. But the important thing is you need a fully functioning, proper neck to add that exercise to. So if you're one of my patients, obviously you're under care, it's okay for you to start doing this because I'm checking your neck and we're making sure this is working properly. If you're watching this video and you're not a chiropractic patient, I'd recommend you go see a chiropractor to make sure that your neck is well adjusted or entrained or optimized by the chiropractor to make sure everything is working properly, and then you start adding this exercise into it to start to help develop that curve again. I'll go through a couple of other things in some other videos about what other things this causes, but it's a lot of big problems. So obviously how we're doing our tech devices now, it's really not a good thing. when all the bones in your back are moving freely, and they're not subluxated, we call it, so they all have proper motion, every time they move, that's sending stimulation up to the brain and it's keeping the brain healthy. When you have loss of motion, we call it subluxations in the spine, so areas that aren't moving, they're stuck, there's less stimulation coming up to the spine, and the result is this. So this would be a normal, healthy sort of brain activity, brain being stimulated by proper spinal movement. Instead of having full function, full activity in your brain, as you start to lose the curve in the neck, you start to lose activity, and there's actually less stimulation coming up to your brain because you've lost the curve in the neck, you have loss of joint motion in the spine. Even during your day-to-day activities, because of those areas that aren't moving anymore, there's less stimulation coming up here. And that's not a good thing. So when you get proper chiropractic care, we're trying to make sure all the bones in the back are moving properly, you're getting proper motion when you're moving around day to day, and you're getting good stimulation up to the brain. And we try to do our work so you can have a good, healthy curve in the neck, and you can have good functioning of the brain and overall health to your body. That's your health tip for this week, so make sure you get that curve in your neck checked, and you get it as healthy as possible to make sure your brain and every other part of your body is working as great as it can too. If this was helpful, please share it, and we'll see you next time.